you so much for that reminder. Okay, let's move on to Jenny Garcia, who is going to share a personal experience with us. Take it away, Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny and I like food. So many of you have a love of food, and so I did too. But when MetaPWR came out, I was really scared to go and get my blood work done. So not only do I have a phobia of blood and needles, but I was afraid of finding out where I was in terms of my numbers because I had already known prior to getting ready for MetaPWR, I probably wasn't on the best lifestyle. I was still working on it, right? So I went and I got my blood work done. I pushed myself and I did it. Got over that phobia and did it. And much to my surprise, I was actually within that 6.8%. So meaning I had the optimal metabolic health, blood pressure, the cholesterol, the blood sugar, A1C, those were good. Weight was reasonable. So then that left me thinking, well, should I try MetaPWR? But for me personally, I can't go and tell somebody to take something if I've never tried it. So I'm like, well, let me just give it a go and see what happened. So 90 days in, I'm 90 days in on MetaPWR, and so far I've seen my weight drop in 3 pounds, but the more notable thing for me was I lost 4 inches around my midsection. And so those 4 inches weren't necessarily pounds, there was inflammation. So I saw a dramatic shift with my inflammation. My face wasn't as swollen. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2018. So as we've learned, inflammation or that chronic inflammation is such a big thing to work on when we deal with things that have to do with our health, right? Because we know if we have that uncontrolled inflammation, that leads to so much more dis-ease in the body. So I was so happy to see that it affected me in that way. And so some other things that it affected me was my view of sugar, my cravings of sugar, and my taste for sugar. Now I am satisfied with maybe 1 or 2 bites of something sweet. I don't have to have the whole thing or more. I'm good with that. My energy levels are up. And I even experimented with that to see if it was a mental thing, right? Placebo effect, maybe hearing all these other people say, oh, I'm more energy. So I played around with it. I didn't take it for a day. I felt a difference, went back on it, and then still was kind of like, I'm not completely convinced. I played around with it and I took it. For me, I'm really sensitive to things. So I took it later in the day and I regretted it because I stayed up all night. But that's for me personally because I'm super sensitive to things. So again, I really saw that energy was really real. Another thing that I noticed too, in workout recovery, I'm recovering a lot faster in terms of that soreness and things like that in being more active and mobile. And then another thing that was kind of really cool that I just noticed is I have a smart scale and it tells you what your metabolic age is. And so I was pretty impressed that it was spot on when I first did it, that it actually had my age of, at that time, 37. But now it's recording 36. So I'm actually really surprised that even though I already look super young for me, right? I mean, I'm sure y'all would agree, I don't look 37, almost 38, but now it's saying I'm 36. So what? MetaPWR is amazing. So I'm really convinced that it worked for me. And I'm convinced if you haven't started and tried it yet, it's going to work for you on your own way. Whatever things that you are looking to work on, it can definitely help. So I can't wait to hear about y'all's results once you get started.
Yay! Thank you so much, Jenny Garcia. Show her some love with the clappy hands or a heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you for going into such fine details about the results that you are getting, right? Sometimes when we're asked about the results, we really got to think about it, because if you don't, then you don't realize it, right? You said things on this class that I didn't hear on the 130 class. So thank you so much for sharing. That was great. Absolutely love it. Notice how she talked about inflammation. So who doesn't have a problem with inflammation, right? Just like her, I haven't lost a lot of weight. I wish I could say that I've lost like 10, 20 pounds. I I do feel that my clothes fit differently. I had to buy a new belt because I lost all of the holes in it, right? I had to buy a new pair of jeans because I'm a size down. I think it's inflammation. I haven't weighed myself, but I do feel better. I do feel different. And like her, I highly recommend